I'm Susan Odell. Welcome to the Foodell Kitchen. The term shellfish really encompasses a broad range of seafood. It includes both mollusks and crustaceans. Crustaceans being things like prawns or lobsters or crawfish, animals with a soft outer shell. Mollusks can be bivalve, meaning they've got two shells and an animal inside, or they can just have a single shell. A single-shelled mollusk would be a snail, for example, or an abalone. Mollusks also include the cephalopods, what's that? That just is a squid and those types of animals. But the mollusks we're going to look at today are mussels. Things like mussels, clams, and oysters you typically buy when they're alive, and you need to store them properly in your refrigerator so that they stay alive until you're ready to eat them. When you buy fish, or really any seafood in your store, you want it to smell fresh. You want it to smell like the sea. So if possible, take a good whiff. Close your eyes, and you need that nice salty, briny flavor. If it smells a little off, it probably is, and don't buy them. You can also look at the actual quality of the shell when you're thinking about mollusks. When you're looking at clams or oysters or mussels particularly, they should be nice and tightly closed. If you find one that's just a little bit open, give it a good knock, and it should slowly close, and that tells you that the animal is still alive inside, which is what you want. When you get them home, you want to store them in your refrigerator and eat them as soon as possible. They're best as fresh as you can get them. Store them in I like to put them in a colander. They need air. They're alive. If you put them in a sealed plastic bag, they're going to slowly suffocate, which is not a good thing. You put a damp cloth over the top. Keep them in your refrigerator for a day, maybe 2 days at the most. Whenever you're cooking things in shells, you want to make sure the shells are nice and clean, because otherwise it's going to get in your food. Mussels can be very sandy on the outside and sometimes on the inside. If you soak them in cool water for 10 or 15 minutes, it should release most of that sand, and then you can cook them. These are actually quite clean. Sometimes mussels will also have what's called a beard on the outside. The beard is where the mussel attached to the stone or the rock or the pier or whatever it was that it was growing on, and you can just pull those off with your hands. Most mussels are farmed mussels, so you can buy them year-round, and it's a good sustainable seafood and loaded with protein. And because they cook so quickly and are delicious, they make a great weeknight dinner. Let's have a look at how to cook them. So on the stove, I've got a little bit of butter and olive oil, about a tablespoon of each. I've got some finely chopped garlic and some finely chopped shallot. This is a classical preparation for mussels. I'm just going to add my mussels directly to my pan, and then I'm going to pour about a cup of white wine over the top. What I want to do is steam the mussels. I want to steam them so that the shells will open and it'll cook the meat inside, and then we'll be able to eat them. Once the wine comes to a boil, I'm just going to cover the pan, and it should take between 5 and 7 minutes for the mussels to cook. It's been about 4 minutes. I'm just looking at my mussels to test if they're done or not, and almost all of them are wide open. They are delicious and cooked and smelling absolutely spectacular. This would be good to have smell-o-vision. I think we're ready to serve. So you want to serve your mussels pretty much as soon as they're cooked, as soon as possible after cooking when they're nice and hot. I'm just picking through them. What I don't want to do is serve a mussel where the shell never opened. If the shell is closed tight after cooking, that means it's dead, and we're just going to discard that one. So be a little careful and spoon them into your bowl. I'm using tongs to take them out of the broth, because I'm going to strain the broth to make sure I don't have any extraneous sand. I don't want to serve that to my guests. I've got all the mussels out of the broth, so now I'm just going to strain it to get rid of any extraneous sand or shell particles. I'm going to spoon it over my mussels. Some people like to thicken their broth with a little cream or even a little bit of mustard. Just whisk that right into the sauce before you spoon it over your mussels. You're going to want to have some nice crusty bread so you can dip it in all this delicious sauce. I also like to sprinkle a little bit of chopped herbs. These are just chives right over the top to make it pretty. And there is your dinner. Any shellfish cooks very, very quickly, so it's a really good thing to have on hand and to get comfortable cooking, because it's a great quick night meal and it's good for you too. Bon appetit. It's dead.